Established in 1981 by their father, Pradeep Jethani, Jet Gems is known for creating designer, bespoke, customized jewelry for its clientele, which includes a host of Bollywood celebrities. Guided by their father's values and principles, the brothers Mohit and Janak bring contemporary vision and fresh perspective to the brand. They completed their GIA Graduate Diamonds Program in 2014 and 2015 and joined the business soon after. Mohit's awareness of design trends and market dynamics adds freshness, complemented by Janak's unwavering commitment to quality. Together, they strike a balance between tradition and innovation, steering their organization towards new heights. So I welcome all of you once again to this session. Welcome Mohit and Janak. And Manisha, you can conduct the further proceedings.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, Freddie, sir, for such a wonderful introduction. And I will turn it over to Shiv now to pose those questions that we've specially curated for Mohit and Janak. Over to you, Shiv.
Thank you, Manisha. Thank you, Freddie, sir, and welcome all of you to this second edition of 2024. It's already been almost 14 months that we've been doing this session, and today we have yet another amazing duo that we're going to probably try and get some amazing insights out of. So I'll start with a very simple question just to help us the audience know you better, Mohit and Janak. So can you tell us about the journey of Jet Gems from its inception, and specifically to both of you, why and how did you decide to join the business?
Hi, Shiv. First, I just want to say thank you for having us here. And, it's a very interesting question. It wasn't easy to decide to join the jewelry business, even though we did grow up around it. But before that, let me just tell you how Jet Gems started. So, of course, 1981, Jet Gems was founded by our father, he was quite passionate about fine jewelry. And he started with a very small operation. I would say his office was maybe smaller than 100 square foot or 10 square meter for some of you out there, which is a very small, location. It was a small boutique in our local jewelry market of Mumbai called Zaveri Bazaar. If a lot of you are from Mumbai, you will know that. So over the years, he earned a reputation for having attention to detail and commitment to quality and designs. Around that time, I guess most people, most other jewelers were essentially focused on a very traditional style, a traditional design. But my father was more inspired by Western designs, but Indian craftsmanship. So he managed to find a good balance between both, and that is essentially how we got our fame. People were kind of intrigued by our designs, were more attracted, more contemporary styles. And over the years, based on this, our success grew. We moved on from Zaveri Bazaar to first a boutique in Bandra, and then in 2009, we opened our flagship retail store on Turner Road in Bandra, which is now where we are located. And about 18 months ago, we opened our second outlet in Dubai. So we now are an international brand, proudly. So then the question comes, what made us, Janak and I, join this industry, See, while growing up, it was our habit. After school, we would go probably finish our homework in our father's office. So we grew up around the industry for a very long time. I would say it was not initially at least my decision to jump into the jewelry industry, but looking at how the brand grew and the impact we were making, and my natural progression was driven by a combination of factors, to get into this business. One of them was, of course, having grown up around the industry. The network knew us. We knew the way the operations worked, so it wasn't too difficult to join in. So this is we joined the business. There are many different places we could have started also. starting initially, it was difficult for us to understand where to enter. Being a diamond jeweler, our focus essentially was always on creating new designs. So jumping in, of course, contributing to say more modern designs, more international aesthetics. That's how I joined in and continued essentially what my father started.
Interesting. Janak, is that story kind of similar to?
So actually, yeah, I would say it's similar in many ways. Obviously, there's a small AGR between me and Mohit, and we've always done things together. Even now, like we play football together, for example, a few times a week, things like that. But yeah, like he said, like it was literally straight after school. We'd go straight to like our dad's office. We wouldn't even bother going home until like 6 or 7 p.m. But we were there with him the second part of the day. And smaller things like, I mean, I held solitaires when I was like probably 8 or 9 years old, gemstones, different colors, things like that. There was in a ring design I vaguely remember I didn't particularly like, and I asked dad to make some changes to it. And 3 weeks later, he showed me like the changes of the ring in the design and like the new byproduct of it. So I guess things like that, just spending time over there was, I guess, brought us here together. And joining the business again I was obviously in two minds about it. So I guess my dad was like, if you consider joining it, do GIA first, and then we'll talk about it, because I need you to have that knowledge before even thinking about stepping in over here. And that's pretty much it, to sum it up. But yeah, I've been like opening and closing packets, things like that. For example, we were doing, I think when you were 11 or 12, Mohit obviously has a better idea with design, but he would see designs being sketched, 100 sketches already like ready to like be manufactured over time. So these are things we were very exposed at a young age, and it was very normal for us.
Yeah. So I think that early exposure kind of helped build that, that affinity towards gemstones, jewelry design, and all of that. And then it kind of made it easier to join the family business. Interesting point that you touched upon, Janak, over there, which is, the kind of thread that binds us all together, which is GIA, right? I wanted to ask both of you, if you could walk us through why did you decide to pursue the GIA program? I think Janak kind of did touch upon that. Your dad kind of wanted you to do it, but if you can also elaborate a little bit on how was your on-campus experience. I know Mohit has his instructor here right away, so I would love to know also maybe from Arjun, how was Mohit as a student, but also if you can maybe talk about what are the kind of things that you learned in the GI program, and how does it help you in your business day to day?
So, initially when I did join the business, it wasn't my first inclination to join GIA. And I'm sure this is a similar thought process of a lot of people who are joining from a family background. I mean, you have assorters in your office who can convey the message to you. And that's obviously what I also thought. Like, hey, is it worth it? And can I really dedicate that time? So I'll tell you, I did go through the traditional process of sitting around with my team, trying to learn. And I failed miserably. It was not an easy and a nice experience. So then I said, okay, why don't we go try GIA? And I must tell you, and I recommend everybody that if you have not, you should, because the way that the GIA curriculum is structured, it might be very rigorous. Like, if I was joining, I would say straight after a school or a college where I was already used to dedicating that time in a classroom, it might be much easier, but I was coming up, working for a few years. So to dedicate that time and to be there every day, it wasn't like the easiest, but once you are there, the way the course is structured, that there is no time wasted. It's important to be there all the time, and it pretty much covers everything that you will need in the future. So coming from a very unorganized setup, working in a family environment where it's very difficult to learn the diamond trade, the industry, GIA kind of is the standard of diamonds today, and who better to learn from? So that was what gave me confidence. And once I was done with the course, I knew, it was the right decision. In fact, it's not really only about, I would say, the education, but also the network of people you meet and you study with, which was also quite good to see. You have a lot of people who were also coming from similar family backgrounds, wanting to learn. It was very nice to meet people who are going to be joining the trade. Otherwise, your usual network is, I would say, your school friends or people who you know. But this was a good way to see the future of the future people of our industry, all coming together, studying together and learning.
Absolutely. Janak, how was your on-campus
So honestly, GIA was probably the toughest thing I've studied till date. And the first week, I was just like, I don't know if I'm made for this, that. Mohit said he left, or what do you call? He joined after working for a few years. I just finished university and then I joined like maybe 6 months later. And I was just like, I don't think I'm prepared to sit down and study again. And you could probably ask Neetu ma'am and Karan sir, probably gave them a hard time for the first 2 weeks because there was a lot of theory that you had to learn, and I understand why you had to learn it to go ahead with things with the practical part. The practical part is what intrigued me more because it was like you were coming down to it. The theory part, I was like, some days it bored me, some things were really, really interesting, but overall the structure of education was like really, really good because in those 6 weeks, honestly, once you leave, your brain is just is ready in terms of and you're confident, like Mohit said. Like once you finish those 6 weeks, you're like ready to start working, start grading, because they teach you so thoroughly. And just the smaller details, I think I mentioned last time also. For example, we use one set of diamonds and quality, which is say a GVVS1, for example. And we've only seen that essentially in my office throughout. But with GIA, it opened up my eyes to SI1, SI2s, I1s. These are diamonds I had not seen before, which had so many inclusions in it. And again, we've only been exposed to maybe 2 or 3 colors, whereas in GIA had a whole chart from D to probably L, M, and kept going further. And you could compare each diamond and even the smaller color difference that you could see with the setup that they had, obviously helped out a lot. And fluorescence, for example, it's just something I heard about it in the trade, but until I saw it with my own eyes, it's not something I was aware of. Or so the smaller things, I didn't realize that diamond can be blue under certain light. So smaller details like that really intrigued me. And as the course went on, there was more inclination to learn more, where the interest picks up. But obviously, like any other course, the first week is usually just orientation, learning the basics, which is also very important. So
yeah, see, today even with
it's a professional structure, like I said, compared to how family business is run.
Right. Something that Mohit was alluding to. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was saying, even with the theory is actually very important for somebody who doesn't come from the industry, because everything you learn there is something that you can convey to your customer. It tells the whole story of where diamonds come from, what the history is very important. If you know that, it makes selling much easier.
Very true. That's an interesting point of view. Thanks, Mohit. Mohit, so from talking about your GIA program and your experience, I want to shift the gears a little bit, and I want to ask you, Mohit, now that you are involved specifically in the design aspect of everything that Jet Gems does. I want to ask you as an expert, what according to you today are top 3 design trends that, let's say, a jeweler needs to adapt to?
So, I mean, a pretty interesting question. I mean, in the last decade that I have been here, trends have changed quite a lot. And I think the main reason for that is the price of gold. We're talking that gold has gone up so much that affordability of jewelry has become more difficult for a lot of people. So the first thing that I think the trends have moved on to is affordable and lightweight jewelry, which is achievable by use of CAD/CAM manufacturing. And if you will see a lot of that today, because making more lightweight gold and diamond studded jewelry is a challenge, because you need to make sure your structure is still strong while consuming less gold. So because of today's gold price, I think this is the main focus. Moving on from there, I have also seen, if you talk specifically about a bridal customer, Initially, you would have brides who would come in and buy a really heavy set, probably wear it for their for their wedding day, and then put it in the locker. Nowadays, we are seeing a big trend where brides are saying, no, I want jewelry that I can possibly wear after I get married, for different occasions, maybe another family wedding, a friend's wedding. So they're not looking for something so heavy, but for their own wedding day, they do need to look like a bride. You don't want a guest coming in who looks, dressed more than you. So we've seen a lot of them are choosing to layer multiple necklaces rather than pick up one really heavy necklace. So that is a big trend that I have seen recently change, at least in the bridal segment. And of course, the use of semi-precious and precious colored stones. I've seen a big increase in that, especially like pastel colors, some really, really nice colored sapphires have really become very trendy. You're seeing a lot of jewelry nowadays with rainbow colors, funky colors. So I think the people are starting to accept colors in India also a lot now, which was a more international trend earlier. So these are the big three, I would say, changes I've seen recently in the industry.
Interesting, and I think, in my opinion, these quite seem interlinked, right? I mean, you could have these amazing semi-precious colored stones that could also kind of help you give that affordability to a certain collection that you're building.
Yes.
True. Great. Janak, my next question is to you, especially with the focus that that we learned about in terms of Jet Gems specific, focus on quality. Can you talk us through, what sort of processes, techniques, or models or systems that Jet Gems has built and perfected to ensure that the final piece of jewelry, not just that is great in terms of quality, but also the kind of materials that you source to build that jewelry?
So when it comes to things like that, honestly, it's in the smaller details, right? Today with the internet and everything going on, the way it was 10 years ago, also there's like a massive difference in our quality today. Which like when I joined, I thought we were doing an amazing job, but then over time you realize once you work a little longer that okay, there are like smaller minute things that can be improved. I'll give you an example of like prongs in a ring or prongs in a bangle, for example. We make sure they're soldered at like such a nice level where if you rub the ring against the skin, it shouldn't hurt where the diamond is set, for example. A lot of women have issues when like they put their hand through their hair, the prong gets stuck on their hair and then they're like pulling it out, or like get the ring out to pull it out. Bangles get stuck on jeans while they're walking or like driving. Smaller things like that. So we really look into like to make sure the product is very smooth. It shouldn't be painful. And honestly, with the way we design things, some of them are really complicated. So again, the smaller details really matter. With our karigars, we make sure maybe like once a year or twice a year, we keep giving them feedback in terms of like how they can improve. We invest in workshops for them to see what new techniques are available in the market, because otherwise for them also they're just stuck in one fixed place and just making jewelry one after the other. But again, once you expose them to that level also, it opens up their mind. At the end of the day, they are the ones who are like the craftsmen, right? So they look at things like that, and once their mind is open, when they come up with like newer techniques to how you can improve the smaller details, which essentially a customer might not see. Sometimes even the salesperson might not see it because they aren't understanding the technicality that goes behind making of the piece, because everyone just focus on their particular job. So things like that. I make sure to visit a lot of exhibitions that are happening in foreign countries like Turkey, for example, or even Italy, where like these countries are known for their finishing. So I just want to know like what do we have to do to reach that level? And honestly, India's I think there at that level also, but maybe sometimes the customers don't want to pay that amount, for example. So, but we try to integrate all these techniques into our jewelry wherever we can possible to make sure like that finish is very, very important. Even necklaces, sometimes consumers will complain, oh, there's too much gold in this, but they aren't seeing the hidden hinges that make necklaces flexible around the neck. There's many times you'll see a choker which is like really like stiff over here, but flexible here. But we make sure when that center part is like not stiff at all, so it like wraps around the neck like it's part of your body. It's like wearing a watch, for example. Like If you have half a link that's loose on your watch, it's going to drag down all the way. So these are the smaller things that we look into. For example, with rings also, if you look at all the international jewelers who are the big brands who have thousands of stores around the world, they do fixed sizes. Like they'll do 6 or 7. They won't do a 6.5. So that is something we also like really, really look into, and make sure the inside of the ring is like really smooth as well while they're wearing it. And women like close their hands like that. It shouldn't hurt the other fingers that don't have jewelry on it. So these are the smaller technical things that we really, really like very strict about. Our quality check is extremely strict, and until we are not happy, it doesn't enter the store at all.
Right. Janak, have you had?
But
sorry, please continue.
Sorry, you were saying.
No, please continue.
No, I was just saying, again, exposure to the foreign world also helps a lot. And even in India, for that matter, we have so many artisans around the world. We are based in Mumbai, but if you go to Jaipur, for example, there's really good work going on over there as well. I'm just giving Jaipur as an example, but all over India, you have to find the right artisan for particular technique, and you can learn from a lot of things.
True. Have you had instance where, let's say, a customer just walks in saying कि ये मुझे करके दे दो, but you're not really sure that you'll be able to deliver that quality that you stand for?
No, not necessarily. I mean, consumers come in all the time. In fact, customization is something we really enjoy. The only thing we request is for patience. Because if you want a good quality product, I don't want you telling me I want it in 10 days. That is something I'll reject. But if you give me time, then no issues. I mean, I'm confident we'll pull it off if anything. And the smaller details that consumers also want, in fact, it's challenging for us, which we like, because then it honestly just helps us become better.
True. And over time, I think consumers learn to appreciate that these are the finer details that you spoke about, that those are the things that really matter in the long term.
100%. Even for the consumer, the smaller details is the reason why they keep coming back, because otherwise they could just go to anyone else if anyone could do it also. But again, this is smaller things in the bigger picture.
True. So my next question is actually to the both of you. I'm going to put forward some sort of a hypothetical scenario, and maybe then draw a little bit from the experience that both of you have had with Jet Gems. So maybe you can imagine that, let's say I'm a fresh GIA graduate and I want to build a jewelry business, specifically with a focus of being the jeweler for Bollywood celebrities, right? So my first question in a two-part question is, one, can I do that? And two, if I were to go about that, how can I do that without some sort of celebrity connections?
So in short, absolutely yes, it's very much possible, and but I would look at it in a very different way. First of all, if you want to enter a jewelry business or any business, there are certain things that you need to keep your eye on, right? You need to be very well organized and flexible, because there are many challenges that will come ahead that you might not be ready for. We anticipate things, but what actual reality is very different. And this is standard across, I would say, any business, is not only jewelry. So when you're starting something new, you have to really you have to kind of pay close attention to all the details that are going on in the business. And you have to make a lot of personal sacrifices. Like today, you'll work harder for yourself than you would for somebody else. That is a definite. That you have to make a lot of personal sacrifices, which people assume, oh, you have your own business, it's much easier, but it is not. You're working 24 hours rather than you're on the clock of 9 to 5. So starting a good business really requires good organization skills, and in jewelry you need creativity and constant focus. So in fact, at Jet Gems, our main focus, if I would say, our reason for success is providing customers with a memorable and positive experience, so that they come back. In fact, they are the ones that the word of mouth is, I would say, our biggest marketing. When customers recommend us to their friends, it's much easier for us than putting out an ad on Instagram or YouTube today. I would say that comes with a little confidence to their friends that someone has been here. And that can only happen if that customer is loyal to you, and they become loyal to you only if they have a memorable, positive experience at your store. So this is mainly talking about on the business side. And today, when you talk about celebrities, the time when we became quite popular with celebrities was very different. In those days, unless you were a big brand sponsoring, it was pretty much very difficult to get your jewelry onto some celebrities. But for us, it was a very different, because of our designs and our modern aesthetic. We actually had these celebrities come in to us as customers. But today, if someone is looking to, pursue Bollywood as an angle to advertise and to market, it's actually a lot easier today. You can probably tie up with some celebrity stylists who will make sure that your jewelry is, worn by any particular celebrity you would like, and you see that a lot nowadays. So it's very much doable. It's not at all difficult. I would say it's harder to run the business than to, do the marketing.
Interesting take. Thank you. Janak, I'm sorry, if you have anything to add, let me know. If not,
No. I honestly agree with Mohit. I don't think you should focus on, I want to do this for Bollywood. I think focus on the product, let the product speak, and then eventually that is something that will just come over time. And like you said, with social media and things like that today, I don't think it's very difficult to reach there with stylists. And there's so much going on, exposure. This paid ads. There's a lot more opportunities there today than there were like back a few years ago.
Of course. So speaking of Bollywood and celebrities, I definitely, I would be amiss if I don't ask you this question. Any sort of interesting Bollywood celebrity customer stories that you have that you would like to share with us?
That could be. I don't know. Do you want to start, Mohit?
So, look, I'll tell you, in fact, growing up, being around the store, we have seen over the years, we've met personally each celebrity who has come here for the personal shopping experiences. And honestly, they all are really great on a personal level. Or we have been fortunate to get the great ones, I can say. Generally, I don't want to touch upon too much detail of which celebrities we work with, but we have been fortunate enough to make wedding jewelry for some very big names, and work on restoring some heirloom jewelry from people. I can touch upon a little more of that. So this is actually way before I joined the business. This is around my father's time, but I've been around, where both the Kapoor sisters wedding jewelry we have made, and so when Saif's on their wedding time, we even did restoration of all his ancient jewelry, some nice kurta buttons with the crest of his family on it, restoration of that. So we've had some nice experiences. In fact, if you even look it up on Google, you'll find all the work we've done. It's all, we don't personally promote it, but it's there on different media websites. So if you do search, you'll probably get good references from there as well.
Great, thank you, Mohit. That's it must have been quite a thing, right? Maybe you could talk a little bit about what was the experience that maybe you and your father had to kind of go through in order to kind of restore those heirloom pieces. What were they? Could you talk a little bit more about that?
So they were
Any gemstones, any diamonds? You could talk a little bit about that.
Of course, they were more gold based. We had a couple of brooches, a couple of sherwani buttons, things like that, which are more like the royal pieces of jewelry.
And you mentioned it had the family crest on it.
Yes, absolutely. And that is the interesting part, right? It's a part of our nation's history, or like a region of our nation. It's a very important part, and it was good to be a part of that restoration process. I'm sure many people would have liked that opportunity as well, and I'm quite proud to be the one that was chosen to take this forward.
Beautiful. Great. So I'll move on to the next question, where I want to touch upon something that that's been quite a lot of the buzzword really, which is we talk about responsible sourcing and all of that. And Janak, my question to you is, how do you ensure that the gemstones that you are procuring are from ethical sources? And I'm sure you would have quite a lot of rigorous processes to do that. You can, of course, talk a little bit about that. But what I want to get at is, how do you then communicate that to your clientele? I mean, it has to be a fine sort of balance between storytelling and too much information, right? TMI, as we say. So how do we balance that finer aspect when we want to talk about responsible sourcing, ethical sourcing with your customers?
So when it comes to the sourcing part, our due diligence is quite strong. And I mean, obviously, everyone knows the business aspect of it. You have to do KYC forms, things like that. But on top of all of that, I really trouble our suppliers, like question after question after question. And I won't sign or purchase anything until I do site visits, things like that. I have to make sure we have a detailed record of origin of gemstone, where it's come from, and smaller things. A lot of suppliers eventually don't want to work with us because of these things. They have all the inventory possible, but until I don't get these answers, it's up to me to decide, do we even want to go ahead and work with them or not. For example, with diamonds, we check with our suppliers if they follow the Kimberley process, certification, things like that. The smaller details, and if they don't have it, then it's a straight reject from our side. And yeah, things like that. The site visits really help because once you meet the supplier, there's more confidence in the person as well. And you have to build trust over time. And for years, we've been working with particular people, but every year we still get the chance to meet new people as well. So we look into things like that. Certification from GIA labs like yourselves, there's other labs depending. Sometimes clients have preferences, and that really helps because that gives, again, that's another trust selling factor.
True.
That's one of the few things. Storytelling is something that I would say goes from salesman to salesman, person to person, and changes client to client as well. But honestly, we try our best, like we do our best. We are very transparent as a company, and honestly, I over educate the client till the time where they are also like, I don't need to know more, but because trust is such an important factor in our business, I would rather spend, if I'm going to spend 3 hours with a client, I'd rather spend an hour and a half just educating them before I even show them products. Because they've come with conceptions and ideas that they've heard, or like, especially a new client, people who worked with us for years obviously understand already and like don't even question it anymore. But newer people, I will show them different certification. I will show them different stones, give them the origins of it, explain the stories, and again, like I said, educating a client, I think, is very important, which I don't see it today. I think like that's a part that's missed out a lot because people are focusing more on the sale rather than the customer building relationship. So I think that is, if you prioritize that, the sale will come. That is
Very true.
the way we look at it, and it's worked till now. So I have no reason to not go ahead.
Yeah. I think what you touched upon, Janak, is quite interesting and kind of resonates with something that, we've been hearing a lot about. One is that, you need to look at a, customer storytelling point of view, a sale as not just a transaction, but just a way to build on to, a relationship. The customer, once you educate them, will always come back to you looking for some sort of an expert advice whenever they want to purchase anything related to gems and jewelry. So I think those are quite interesting aspects, and a lot of these aspects do get touched upon when we also interact with a lot of our alumni. So thank you for also mentioning that. Now I want to move on to a little bit of a different area. Uh, 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 you know, uh, Mohit, you mentioned that uh, technology and innovation. You talked about CAD/CAM a little bit when we were talking earlier about affordable lightweight jewelry. So I want to ask you, can you share maybe a couple of examples of how technology and innovation has touched into what you guys do at Jet Gems, and two examples from two different areas, maybe one from a design and manufacturing point of view, and one maybe from a sales and marketing POV.
Sure. So, when you talk about technology, I mean, in today's time, technology has taken over pretty much every aspect of our life, with our mobile phones, on-demand TV, even your cars are going to be like self-driving soon. So, globally, there's been good advancement in technology, and even in the jewelry industry, today there has been like a remarkable change. The main changes, at least from the manufacturing side, we have seen is all this new technology that has come, like I mentioned, CAD, CAM. So, this has opened up new avenues for creativity, being more efficient with like gold usage, and prototyping has become a lot more easier. It's become more possible to, create geometric designs, which are not probably possible with like manual karigars that were, they probably didn't have the vision also to create such things. But today you can do all this with a laptop and a software. That kind of a change is quite a big change for in manufacturing. In fact, it's affected a lot of people also in our industry. If you see our karigars, in fact, we spend a lot of time to retrain craftsmen because of this kind of technology, but it has helped our business tremendously. Like I said, for prototyping today, you might have an idea of a design, but you don't really know how it will turn out. With today CAD CAM, it's much easier. You can have a little preview of what you're making and see how it is going to work out. If you're still not sure, you can get a wax piece printed. If you're still not sure, you can move on to casting also. So when I say efficiency also, today you can make a lot more inventory in a short amount of time because of this kind of technology. The finishing, the quality has been, I mean, look, there have been challenges and struggles with technology also, but it's improving. Like, it's always improving. That is on the manufacturing and design side. On the sales and marketing side, also there's been quite some changes globally today with AI and ChatGPT. I mean, there are ways to integrate ChatGPT that your customer will soon be chatting with AI rather than your salesperson. It's not something we have kind of introduced yet in our company. I still think it's early stages, but it is something that is going to come in soon. Apart from that, you see AR. Yeah, so today customers can virtually try your jewelry on at home. Again, this is a little new technology. It's been around, but the technology has had some issues. It has become a lot better now in the last year or two. I've seen some demonstrations. And I mean, imagine that experience. You have customers globally, especially in our industry, where people like the touch and feel, or at least have a little experience with the product. Very rarely you'll see someone buying jewelry online, or that has been a big struggle for our industry of how to get people to purchase without having to want to walk into a store and touch and feel. With AR, it's a good experience. It's a good starting point where today a bride can probably have a wedding dress on and try on different earrings virtually from anywhere to see how that look will fit in. So yeah, there's some good technology around. And we try to introduce as much as we can, at least in our operations. Some things are not ready yet, but they will be soon.
Great. I mean, interesting points that you touched upon there, Mohit. I know these are quite interesting times. I mean, AI is definitely the buzzword. We are also seeing what sort of generative AI can do with videos. I think that's something new that we're seeing now. So it's definitely quite an interesting time for almost every business, but certainly more so for the gem and jewelry, in businesses where everything is so touch and feel. I mean, the experience of wearing something on you, and that kind of getting replicated in some way in a digital format could make things really open up. So great, thank you for touching upon those
And
aspects.
in that, if I can add, Shiv, the touch and feel, yes, but the target, the category of people, who the end users who are going to use this product, the jewelry, women who always want shades of colors or different shapes, sizes and all. So for them, probably AR is like godsend. So I personally also feel very happy that all this technology is in place. So I can really relate to all those who would like to try that technology. So great points, Mohit and Janak.
Great. So Mohit, whenever you're testing out these features, you have someone who will be happy to help you as a customer.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward.
Great. And now I'll ask you both. Now you've been in this business for some time, right? Have you had Have you had disagreements between the two of you concerning a business decision, or have there been sort of instances where you both kind of disagreed with maybe your father on a certain business decision? Could you maybe talk a little bit about that? And I'm sure there would be disagreements. I'm not even going to ask that as a question. My question would be, how do you then go about resolving those? How do you address those?
So, initially we, of course, like you said, had quite a few disagreements. And I would say there are different levels to what the disagreement is, right? Today, one of them could be leadership styles, which is, I would say, the most common issue you would find, at least in like family businesses where father, son, or two brothers come in, because everyone has a different style of like doing work, and there's no right way or wrong way. It's just that, as a company, you have to all agree to follow one approach. So disagreements are there. It can be on, like I said, multiple levels. And how to resolve them? First, like I said, we had some like disagreements, but they were, I would say, for us on a very early level where it didn't cause us any like long-term issues. And we found a solution that it was very important for us to establish clear roles and responsibilities. So we kind of divided the work, because at the end, if both people are doing the same job, the scope of growth also is kind of reduced. So if you want to grow, you want to get into different fields, you want to expand, you all need to have a very clearly defined role on what is each person's role going forward in the future. And again, even after that, it's very possible to have disagreements. I'll give you an example. Like today, if Janak is looking into wholesale and he goes and picks up 1,000 carats of diamonds, or picks up, I don't know, like 2 kilos of gold today, and tomorrow the price drops, I have a right to be upset at him, if he did it. But if the day he was going to do the purchase, we sit down and say, Mohit, I'm going to pick up this tomorrow. This is the offer I've got, and I'm going ahead. Then the onus is not on him, because it was a collective decision. We were all informed. So it's very important, at least in a family business, to be very transparent in all decision making and be open. Actually that helps, because a lot of times, if you're sat in one place, you only know what is around you, and it's always good to get a second opinion. And who can you trust more than your own brother or your father, right? Your family are the people you can trust. So it's very important to always be kind of open to discuss. I see people are not doing that because of the embarrassment of being wrong. But it's better to learn this way than to be wrong without having the support of your family.
That's an interesting point. And, one of our previous legacy of leadership speakers, Mr. Sanjay Kalsi of JD Solitaire, also mentioned that, यार ये business में है ना हमारे mistakes बहुत costly होते हैं. So I think the point that you brought about, which is, that openness, that transparency, even when clear rules and responsibilities have been defined, will go that extra mile in bringing that, the consensus that you have within the team, within the two of you, with your family, to make, because of course at every level, the best interest of the business is always, that's always the common goal, right? Janak, you have any other interesting stories to add?
No, I mean, honestly, I don't think as disagreements as a bad thing. Communication is important in that aspect. Disagreements could be good, but I mean, there could be one problem with 10 solutions. Now it's about communicating and finding out which is the right solution from all the solutions that are possible. So that's one thing. And I think disagreements with the older generation is normal, and it should happen because it opens up their mind. And from their side, you get, you're getting the idea of experience, which is, again, I think Mohit had also mentioned, experience is something you don't buy, it only it's something you get over time. So I think that to find that balance is important. And if you look at culturally, India and Indian family businesses, I mean, now there's like tycoons over generations, but they all started as like family businesses. Most corporates today that you see were family businesses. So I think India has a good background in terms of like family businesses becoming like bigger, and being on the front foot of things. So yeah, again, like I said, we try not to get involved in each other's way, but at some point that does happen. And again, like I said, it's not a bad thing as long as it's communicated and the decisions that we take are all together. Smaller decisions, you handle your own department and then get on with it, because even you know as a person that you will be able to rectify things. The bigger picture is where we all need to sit, and we do sit together and like plan that out. And again, like I said, I don't look at it as a bad thing at all.
Yeah, that's an
It's
interesting.
normal. And brothers fight, parents fight. This is part of every family, regardless of business or not. So that's the thing. And me and Mohit have always been competitive people also. So it's in our nature in general. But like, as soon as it's done, you're back to being brothers, and it's very normal.
Yeah, so dinner table conversations aren't awkward, right?
Oh no, not really. I mean, again, depends on the day, but that's one thing. That's one thing. Working in the family, work comes home. That's something I don't think it's in our blood, to be honest. But like I mentioned, me and Mohit play sports together. Sometimes I'm with him on the same team, sometimes against each other, and honestly, you're just competing to win. And again, we win together, we lose together. You just keep that in mind, and that's it. But obviously, we've always kept in mind that the family comes first. Everything else is later.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Janak, for that perspective. And now I'll ask both of you, if you can maybe share with us what sort of roadmap do you wish to, sort of see for Jet Gems, and how do you wish to kind of preserve the cultural and the traditional value systems that have been, kind of instilled by your family, and how do you want to, preserve that for years and decades to come?
Uh, so more than Jet Gems, it is about the Indian culture. Today, for us, is about preserving our Indian heritage. Again, even when we started, even though our inspirations were the big Western brands like a Harry Winston, we still made sure to use Indian techniques, Indian traditional techniques, like jarrao pieces in the combination of like a polki and the combination with diamonds and things like that. So I want to continue to do that. And mentioning with all this technology coming in, a lot of our craftsmen are kind of like artisans of even other industries, like in fabrics, things like that, are kind of being moved out. Even that which used to be a father to son, or like family to multiple generations, the art was taught down. Today, that the second generation doesn't want to do that. They want to go out, study, and maybe get a job rather than sit in a factory and make jewelry or make things. You basically do skill labor. So that is one of the biggest challenges, and that is something we want to preserve. We have tried our best, and we keep trying to regularly retrain our artisans who work on our jewelry to at least learn new techniques, learn new technology, but around their existing skill. So this, and like I said, this is more of on a national level. At least in Bombay, especially after COVID, we've seen a big decline in such skilled people. But again, you go across the country, you go to Calcutta, you get a different style of jewelry. You go to Jaipur, you get a different style of jewelry. So it's very important to at least make sure this craft remains active over the long time, and especially for the uniqueness and our identity of our country. Today I have seen over the years that the love for Indian jewelry around the world, and that has given me a lot of confidence that yes, we are going on the right path. I think all it requires is a little organizing, and there is a good scope to keep this going in the future also.
Interesting. Janak?
No, so honestly, I agree with Mohit, pretty much said all the points I thought of also. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I think trust is a big factor. So that is something I would like to keep going, if anything. Keep educating clients over time, more and more, because there's new generations coming in with newer questions, which the older generation hasn't faced and probably has like tougher time answering because they don't relate. And smaller things like that, with lab growns coming in, make sure you educate them about that also. Although we aren't in it, but the consumer should know what it is. They're making sure they aren't getting cheated, and smaller things like that. So I mean, Dad always used to say jewelry is just a byproduct of the trust that we sell. So that is something I want to make sure that we keep going with that. And I think Mohit already mentioned about the artisans and all the values that way.
With something which your father said. Janak, could you please repeat it for us? Your father said that the jewelry is just a byproduct of trust. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, yeah. He was like,
Uh,
we sell trust. Jewelry is just a byproduct of that. And with jewelry, everyone has 100 questions, like 18 carat, 14 carat, and obviously over the years, people have been unfortunately cheated, and you hear things in the market. Someone sold 14 carat for 18, small things like that. So again, like I was mentioning, transparency is very important for us. If anything, I'd rather tell the consumer my cost and then tell them what I'm charging also, because anything to convince them in terms of like I'm doing the right part on my side. So again, these are things like smaller things that we would like to move forward with.
To kind of to sum it up, everything that you've said, Janak, so far, that one is of course the focus on the smaller details. Then about the fact that you educate your customers, and all of this is particularly important to kind of build and retain that trust. And this all kind of builds into something that even Mohit was talking about, that we with all of this, you'll not be able to preserve the value systems that your father has instilled in you and in Jet Gems, but also kind of propagate everything that the Indian jewelry and the Indian craftsmanship kind of stands for. And for that, I must truly commend for the work that you guys are doing. Um, so I have just one last question before I hand it back to Manisha for some maybe interesting Q&A that we have from the audience. Janak, I want to start with you. Could you tell me what your favorite gemstone is and why?
Okay, my favorite gemstones are a tough one to choose because honestly, it changes every year. Because every year I get to see something new, a different shape, a different cut, a different color of like the same emerald or the same ruby, a different shade of it. But personally, if you ask me, I would say I like blue a lot, so I like the blue sapphire a lot. But that's something I don't get to see often because astrology-wise, if I'm not mistaken, out of superstition, India does not believe in owning blue sapphires. But every time that I've held one, and like I've held many in my life, but every different shade of it, when you hold it against the sun, for example, it like I don't know, it attracts to me. Although like I don't wear gemstones or like have any personally, but it's always fun to see. And that's one stone that we don't really keep at the store very often because of the superstition of Indian consumers. And over time, emeralds and rubies will always be classics. But again, every year we go for a new show, and my mind changes because I see something new that's intriguing, and that's it.
Beautiful. Mohit, I
So,
want to ask you the same question. What's your favorite gemstone
Uh,
and why?
yeah. So actually, I have a few favorites, like rubies, sapphires, and opals. But I know you will make me pick one. So if I had to pick one, I will without doubt pick the emerald. Okay. There's a lot of history behind the emerald. It is a very attractive gemstone. It's been around since 1500 BC. If you in fact see the history and the journey of emeralds today, like the Aztecs used to worship emeralds like they were gods. And then today, when you look at that region of South America, it's also known for some of the best emeralds that we have around today. In fact, even that if you check the rarity of emeralds, they are in fact rarer than diamonds. So it is a very interesting gemstone that I personally like a lot.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I'd like to just maybe draw something that one of our previous legacy of leaderships speakers had mentioned. So Richa Goel Sikri, who's an amazing storyteller, and she's sort of an influencer when it comes to gemstones.
yeah.
When we asked her, what's your favorite gemstones, and of course, like all of you, she also has the chance to witness all of these gemstones and touch them and feel them and learn about the story of it. She also interestingly mentioned that her favorite gemstone is emerald. And when we kind of asked her, why, she mentioned that it resembles very much it kind of similar to human nature. It has so many fractures, it has so many flaws, but it's still such a beautiful, beautiful gemstone. So that's something that I kind of wanted to bring about. So thank you, Mohit and Janak. You've been fabulous in answering all of the questions that we've thrown at you. And I'm sure we would have some more in store from all the audiences that we have. Manisha, can I hand it back to you now?
Yes, thank you, Shiv. And of course, yes, there are queries from the audience alumni also. So I'll go with the first one. The question from Shraddha is that as siblings working closely together in a family business, there are unique dynamics at play. Could you share some insights into how you effectively collaborate and leverage each other's strengths to drive the success of Jet Gems? I think partially you did answer when you said we remember always that family is of the prime importance and there are differences, but I would still like to put it to you all.
So, Janak, I'll take this one.
Yeah.
Look, again, the collective idea is to be successful, right? It's not that I'm successful and my brother is not, or he is and I'm not. Today, if in fact, who will know? If you have two siblings, you all know each other the best, at least until there is some conflict which you are talking about. So that your brother's strengths, his weaknesses, your strengths, your weaknesses is something that you both, if you have a good communication and have the motivation to grow together, you will structure very easily to know who is made for what roles. Like even if you look at the whole two partners that are there, you have a good cop, a bad cop. There is always one person who will not be able to do the other person's role. So it's very important to understand that in every scenario, who is more, I guess,
Who's better suited for the particular job in hand at that point. And that's something that we both discuss and like, okay, you handle this, I'll handle that. And then, I mean,
That's
just based on our personal experiences, to be honest.
Yeah,
So,
and that's the best approach. I think building upon one's strengths. That's most important.
And it was so amazing to just see that right now. I mean, they kind of completed each other's sentences.
Yeah. Wonderful. Right. Great. So, moving on to the next question from Deep. I'll club his both the questions. I think he just put it in two parts. So how to approach trainee company for sales and the marketing? I believe when you start a business with a new company, how do you approach the company for sales and marketing? I think that's a query from Deep.
oh, actually, that is a tough one because it depends. Again, it depends on your product, number one. Number two, are they looking for that product? You have to look into, you have to look, how do you add value to them with your product, or what do you have to do? Are they like, if they're a very big company, can they do it without you or without what you're trying to sell, for example? So I think these are things you really need to look into. It's not even about the details, just the overall picture of it. Approaching them again with today's internet, and there's so many ways to like approach companies. Like LinkedIn, for example, you don't have to go to the head CEO, for example. You can go down the ladder and try to get them, because it's not like the CEO is looking at purchasing, for example. You talk to the purchasing manager, try to build a relation with them. Before our exhibitions, I know me and Mohit go all out with like emails. Like make sure like every morning these guys wake up and there's an email on their inbox from Jet Gems to make sure that like, okay, they're aware. Even if they don't come to you for business, it's just there. Again, Instagram ads also in many ways. You can particularly direct to your audience, for example. And like I said, again, depending on your product, not necessarily jewelry, just overall. If you can add value to their company, and they will want to work with you. There's no reason for them not to approach you. And I think these are my insights, like, I know, general question with a general answer, but
Yeah.
if you have any more specifics, then please
Yeah.
help them
Yeah.
out.
We kind of touched upon everything. It is challenging, right? To be an unknown and to approach a company that has not heard of you. If you're starting off new, they already are working with some vendors. Like, what do you do? But I think that is the right. I mean, it all depends on who you're approaching. But if you talk about the big boys, you will always. I think it's always best to start with the purchase department. Try to find out who is in charge over there. And trade shows is a very good place, because even
Correct.
if someone is not interested or not buying, they are always visiting the trade show. It is a place to be, to network. So I highly recommend you should always visit, at least in India, if you're local, all trade shows. The IIJS is one of the biggest one, of course. So
Like a lot can happen over coffee, is
Yeah.
all I can say.
And
Great.
I could probably also add that, the sort of alumni collective meets and greets that happen, those also kind of tend to, get that the common thread that is kind of binding us all together to kind of also translate into business relationships. I know Manisha, John, Freddy, so when all vouch for this, that we've heard countless stories where people just kind of met at a meet and greet, and they found a new vendor, they found a new client, and that sort of also helps.
Absolutely, absolutely. You said it, Shiv, and very good points from Janak and Mohit, that connecting with the right person, for the work, and what is it that you bring on the table. So actually, understanding yourself, your own strengths, and then building upon them again. So it's coming to that point. Thank you so much. The next question is from Palash, who wants to know how to find a great name for your diamond jewelry business. And I'd like to add my question also over here. First is that question, and I would like to know if there was any story behind Jet Gems, the name the name to your organization or company back then, when it was given that name.
So with Jet Gems, of course, our surname is Jethani. So I think that is probably one of the big inspirations why my father named it. But it's again, like the business, it's a name also that we inherited, Janak and I. I can't really touch upon more about the story. But if you are trying to find a new name for your jewelry business, again, I would first overall look at not jewelry, but any business. What are the touch points of a good name? And today, like I said earlier about technology, there are so many websites that will generate names for you, which will have a website also available. You can just search on Google. You'll have the business name generators. They will confirm that your Instagram page is available, website's available. So it saves you a lot of time, because today you'll probably sit on a dinner table, brainstorm for hours on a name. Next morning, you'll find out neither is the Instagram page or the website available, and you kind of wasted all that time. So you don't need to do all that. There are enough websites that will assist you with this, and from there you can obviously streamline and change it based on what your personal preferences are.
Sure, those are some very important tips and makes life easier. Thank you so much, Mohit. Janak, would you like to add anything there?
Honestly, if you ask me, I don't think the name matters. Product matters. You look at all the big companies in the world, it has nothing to do with their product. Look at, the name has become big because the product was good.
Product.
So, per se, if you ask me, you build over time, you need time to build something. That's the only thing. Branding and marketing is a whole different game from what your product is and what your sales is. So, again, I think you can make any name amazing if your product is good.
Right. Thank you. That was an interesting perspective. I'll move on to the next question from Shailaja, who wants to know, how do you integrate and balance artistry and technicality in your designs?
So actually, that is a very interesting question. In fact, this is a debate that probably happens every day in our office, because our design team has a vision. They want to make something. It's very elaborate. And then when it comes to our manufacturing team and our sales team, our sales team will say that this is not sellable because it's going to be very very highly priced. Our manufacturing team might say, hey, this is not even possible technically. So this is a challenge that honestly it's a part of R&D and like developing new designs and new pieces, where you will have, if I would say, if you don't have certain these kind of conflicts, then you're not doing it correct, because you're not taking the right opinion of the right people in your different departments. Because you will always find the design and the manufacturing teams don't get along, because the manufacturing will want to change certain aspects to make maybe a certain design structurally more strong, but it'll affect the end result and the end design. So this is actually quite a daily activity for us.
For us, actually, we make our designers sit in manufacturing for them to understand the technicalities better. So once they do that, they understand how they can integrate the particular smaller things into their design and understand how manufacturing works for them to actually integrate these things together.
That's interesting, actually. Yeah, and then I
Yeah.
think they understand each other's perspectives
So yeah,
better.
so they don't have to get along, but they have to understand each
Yeah.
other
No,
for,
yeah.
for them to, because at the end of the day, manufacturing and design, they both want to see the final product, and
True.
that'll only happen if they are understanding each other.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Also,
And
like
yeah,
designers have the design language, I think they also need to learn a little bit of the manufacturing language. And that's how they become the proficient with both the languages, and that's how the final design speaks. Well, I think we have one more question.
yes, that's a very personal one, but I would I would like to go ahead and put it. Angad, this is question from Angad, and he would like to know if Angad name for a jewelry store is viable or not. And I think Janak in a way also answered that probably the name doesn't matter if your product is really, it speaks the language that the customers want to hear, but I'll still like to put it to you all.
I think it's a viable name, and like it says, if Angad has asked if Angad is a fine name, then you have to make sure the personality and the product behind that name stands there and is part of the selling and part of the whole process of making everything to do with jewelry, for example, or any brand that he is trying to build.
Oh, I have one question, may not be the last question. Your brand is often associated with opulent jewelry pieces and one of a kind pieces. Uh, what is your take on online jewelry selling, and with products such as yours, would you be considering it, or are you already doing it?
We are online. For us, it's a little more challenging because sometimes we have one products. So it's not like we have like 100 pieces which are ready with us and person places an order and is dispatched. So our stock has to regularly be updated on the website. Plus, there's a certain price price range which people are comfortable buying online, and within that price range you are very restricted in terms of design to more very generic pieces, which is something we don't want to venture into today. If you are going to get the same piece as with me, then the shop next door or all across the country, or like 20 different websites, then it's a price game, and that's not something we want to get into, because we want to focus more on making very good designer jewelry that people wear out. And when you wear it out, someone asks you where did you get it from, and that word of mouth and references come through that. So for us, it's very, very important that the design is fantastic. And with like I said, the restrictions of the price points that people buy online, it is a little more challenging. But we do certain pieces that we have managed to get it within that price range, we do have on our website. Again, it's just there for a reference for people to know the kind of work we do. But if they really need to visit our store to have a look at, we have more than 4,000 pieces in stock. It's not possible, and they change. 100 pieces come in every week, 100 pieces go out every week. It's not possible, at least now, for us to regularly keep our website up to date. And also, we are conscious about people copying our designs, things like that. So we also, it's not everything does go onto our Instagram or onto our website. There are certain pieces which customers can only see if they visit our store.
Thank you.
Another thing I'll add to that is, what do you call it? I'm an online shopper, and if I don't get it within 3 days, my mind's already like forgotten that I've even ordered this particular product. With our product, we need minimum 4 weeks to make. So if we don't have that in stock and it's added to cart online, the consumer doesn't have the patience to wait 4 weeks or 5 weeks for delivery, things like that. So I think that's like another challenge altogether. And but I'm sure we'll improve over time.
No, that's a great perspective. Yeah.
Our general business model hasn't been like to go in that direction. It's not difficult. In fact, I've seen a lot of success with other people who have gone in that direction. But it's a whole different the math for it and everything for it is very different from what we do.
Okay, thank you.
Mohit, you kind of touched upon something that I wanted to ask as a follow-up, as in like is copying, or your designs getting copied, is that a worry that's why you're not putting it up online? But you kind of answered that. I think also Janak added a very unique perspective that when you look at online deliveries, you want it, the next day, very next day in your hands, right? Or maybe on the very same day. But that's not possible with the kind of jewelry pieces that you're creating. Manisha, I think we will keep getting more questions. There are a couple of questions which I think we can take, and then we'll have to
Yes.
kind of call it a wrap.
Absolutely. So last couple of questions, and in fact, I had one in mind. I hope I get time to ask that. But this one's from Arpita, who would like to know what is the kind of price range that works online?
Your target price online, I would say always aim for below 50,000. If it's below 30, even better. So your like $500 price range is something that you will find good success in.
Great, great. Thank you. That's insightful. And I think after this, Deep has mentioned a comment that probably it's the business which requires a lot of price, product. I mean, you have to be mindful of price, product, and patience, of course, in the business. So thank you, Deep, for kind of adding to the insights. Angad has one more question, and Shiv, I will take that one. So this one is how to deal in North Indian market, that's Punjab, Haryana, Himachal, and Uttarakhand. Any perspective will be appreciated.
So based on my experiences, we haven't actually cracked that market because they do not use the quality that we use, and we've had a difficult time trying to sell to that market because it's a very price sensitive market. And even if I go down on the quality, um, again, they're price sensitive in terms of making charges and smaller details like that. So honestly, I cannot give more feedback because I have not worked, although I've tried a lot. And we come from Mumbai, which is again very different market compared to the South is again a very different market. So I think you have to find your space and you have to really research the target audience and where you are. And India is such a vast and diverse country that honestly, extra research needs to go into it because countries like England and Germany are more in common than like say North and South India because completely different language, completely different culture. Even though like we are Indians, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of differences within our own communities. So
Absolutely, and that's very valid. So, a couple of tips that you all already gave, like visiting the trade shows, just being there, I think that's a fantastic networking platform or getting started platform. And the other thing that you mentioned, if you're an alum, of course, then please visit the alumni meets, and that's also a wonderful
100%.
platform to network and connect. So I think that's it in terms of the questions that we had from the alums. I would still want to take 2 more minutes and ask this question. What is your take on the multi-utility jewelry that's kind of picking up? Do you see it's really going in a big way in future, or how is it, or is it specific to a specific price range or segment or market? Any perspectives on that?
You mean like multi-use jewelry?
Yes, so something which is a necklace also, and also with
Like a ring cum
into.
pendant, things
Yeah,
like that, for
yes,
example.
yes.
Honestly, this is not new to us because we've been doing it for a lot of time. I know we see it more on Instagram, but again, this is something we've been doing for quite some time and we still do it. And again, I think no particular range. If you ask me, I mean, the smaller the range, the quicker the sale will be. But again, because we customize so much for our clientele, we do it in all ranges and wherever it's possible. So, and again, depending design to design, sometimes it's just not technically possible. Like we mentioned earlier, the designer might want it, but manufacturing can't pull it off.
Yes, so I had got this question as an extension of that question. Thank you
Okay.
so much, Janak. Oh, we are getting few more questions. Maybe we just take these last couple of them, and after that, what we will do is we will try connecting the alums to you all, Mohit and Janak, if they have more questions and they
Of
want
course,
to
please,
connect with you. So just the last
if
two
there's
questions.
somebody who has even extended questions,
Yes, sure.
they can email us or like get in touch with us on any platform that is convenient to them.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much. But just these last two questions. Again, this one's from Deep, who's wanting to know what would be the future market in CVD and what if CVD takes over natural diamonds?
Honestly, whatever I say here is speculation. I cannot tell you for sure what is going to happen. I mean, one week you read one news, the next week you read that, a country like France has even banned the term or using the word, you have to mention synthetic. Then you have, I read an article, I think yesterday from Diamond World mentioning something like in Surat, the polishing and cutting of CVDs has gone down post the ban of using this term. So at the moment, I do not know, but it's again early for us to even venture into this. At a few people I do know who did venture have suffered because of the price changes, the drastic price falls in the manufacturing cost of CVDs, and further then for them to, all the inventory value has gone down, things like that. So I really don't know. I have to be honest. Whatever like I said, I say will be speculation. But personally, I think if I have to tell you my opinion, there will be a big difference, which people will want natural, and the ones I feel the CVDs will kind of replace your Moissanite, CZ, Swarovski category, which is. But there will definitely be a certain demand for people who want natural diamonds.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for those inputs, Mohit. And the last question, that's from Arpita, who would want to know what are the jewelry pieces that always work irrespective of region and price?
Jewelry pieces that would always work irrespective of price is again, honestly, it's a very tough question to relate to because the jewelry we make is more one of a kind. So I don't think I'm the right person to answer, but again, I think generic stuff and say gold chains, for example. Look, India is a very high gold consuming country. It's always considered gold is always a good investment, and I think gold jewelry and gold items are probably the way to go that way in terms of security, because you will see all classes in our country from the bottom to the top. Everyone has some form of gold in terms of rings, maybe a chain, or everywhere, like Mangal Sutras, for example, also. So I think the simpler stuff is something that'll always work. And I'm sorry, I really can't go into more detail. Mohit, if you have anything else to add, we can. But it's a little
No, I
tough
mean,
question for me to answer.
there are things like the tennis bracelets, like single liner, diamond strings, and all things like that. Look, you have to think about your consumer. And I think every woman requires those in a wardrobe of jewelry. Your like I said, your tennis bracelets, your diamond necklace strings. So if you had to say there's something that is all year round, you'll definitely sell those. You can focus on your simple, nice, different shaped diamonds, classic stuff, and you'll have good success in that.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much. And you all had very valid points. Within India, we have so much of diversity, and every part of India, there's a specific jewelry that really works well in that region. So difficult to say if there's something very common, but Mohit, you also had a couple of very important tips on that. So thank you so much. We still have more questions coming in, but I would really request maybe what we'll do is we'll get them connected to Mohit and Janak through email IDs exchange. And thank you so much, Mohit, Janak. It was a wonderful session. Like us, the alumni also do not want it to get over. We are just getting more and more insight on this. But I would like to thank you for the time. It was a very busy schedule for you all. We know, and you all still took the time and agreed to do this session. So thank you so much. And I would like to turn it over to Freddie sir for the closing bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohit and Janak. You were absolutely fantastic. You took all those questions and your answers were very, very authentic. Some things which stuck with me when you were talking is one is it's not easy to work in one's own business. It requires a lot of commitment. It requires a lot of personal sacrifices, working around the clock. The other thing that you mentioned was that, you thrive on creating a memorable experience for your customer, and that's why they keep coming back to you. While you also talked about leveraging technology, in the same breath, you also talked about preserving our ancient Indian techniques and the heritage, behind that jewelry. And the last but not the least, what you said about jewelry is a byproduct of trust. And I think our industry is about trust. Okay. And that's what even GIA believes is its mission, is to, enhance the trust in the gem buying public. Okay. So thank you very much for being with us, sharing your thoughts. And thank you, audience, for your wonderful questions. Okay. Good evening to all of you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank
See you,
you.
Mohit. See you, Janak.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye bye. We'll see you soon.
Bye. Good day to all.